lot of things are going wrong today in the Effective House. Number one, there's Storm Dennis in London at the moment, which means a lot of matches have got cancelled, including the one that this guy here, Abba, was going to play in today. The team were then supposed to play friendly amongst themselves. That got cancelled. We're going to have someone come in and do a recovery session. That got cancelled by him. So I'm just kind of scrambling here with the guys are talking about what we could say for this day. I just did a webinar podcast thing a few hours ago, and maybe that'll be a good thing to share. So we're going to play that in a second. I think Instagram stories have been like pretty valuable recently. Like Robert's been taking them. Are we
They've been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've been putting a lot of numbers up and contacting a lot of Train Effective fam.
Boom.
Everyone's been responding really positively. Really looking forward for next week to show you guys some more stuff.
I just came in. I've been away for a few days. Came in. Robert's lost like 6 pounds or more.
Something like that.
I'm like, damn, that's the training, man. And Abba's getting better with his media training.
Yes, I have been in front of media with Clara and all. I'm getting better. Talking in front of media.
Okay. Here are some of the best stories of the last 2 weeks and a little bit on the 1% mentality. Enjoy and stay effective.
Stay effective.
Yes.
Stay effective.
See you. Hey guys, it's me, Nick Humphreys, and we're going to do a podcast. We've got some really dedicated people in this room. Sean, Michael, Yike, and Ivica. We've got 4 people in this room right now, and they've got some questions they want to ask. So right now we're getting in this podcast. We're going to get into this little session, and we're gonna bring some value to people. Train effective. This is how we do it. So first question, Ivica asks this question. I just want to go pro in football, but I have some problems in my game that are making me think that I won't do it. I have some problems to control the ball when it's coming from so far. And I don't know why, but when the ball is so hard, I'm scared to put my head on it. So Ivica's first primary aim, you want to reach the top, right? You want to reach a pro level. One of those issues that you have is having problems to control the ball when it's coming from so far. For me, this sounds like a long ball that you get from one side of the field to the other, and you try to control it, and you have problems in controlling with the first touch from the air. What I want to try and do is just give the more macro overview of what it really takes to get to that pro level. So to be one of those 0.1% that make it to that pro level, Ivica is doing a really good job here because he's identifying his weaknesses that he needs to improve. And this all relates to Cristiano Ronaldo. A few months ago, I had what was an amazing talk. You guys might know that Train Effective teamed up with Rio Ferdinand. One guy that Rio Ferdinand worked with at Manchester United was a guy named René Mullenstein. He's a Dutch coach. He was the assistant to Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, which is arguably the greatest manager in the history of football. He was his assistant at Manchester United for about somewhere between 5 to 10 years. And Rio introduced me to René. I went over to Manchester to go meet René. We kind of met at this coffee shop. We were speaking about basically how to get better at football and improve. And he was telling me his example with Cristiano Ronaldo. This is a framework you can apply to whether you want to be a footballer or a pro musician or a chess player or whatever. But this is how it goes. Okay. Me and René are sitting there having coffee. I tell him a bit about my story and how I went to the pro level, training with professionals, going to tryouts and stuff from being an amateur. And I told him how I did that. And one of the main ways I did that was making my strengths amazing and making my weaknesses my strengths. How did I do that? Well, I would sit down every week and write down my strengths and my weaknesses. I'd get a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, strengths, weaknesses, and I in the left-hand side, which would be strengths on this piece of paper, and then on the other side is my weaknesses. And I'd ask myself, am I making my strengths amazing? And am I making my weaknesses my strengths? So I told René this story. He was very enthusiastic about the story because he said, well, Nick, this is kind of similar to what we did with Cristiano. And so basically René Mullenstein asked Cristiano at this table, he asked him, what's your goal this season? What do you want to achieve? In that 2006-2007 season, Ronaldo scored, I think, 28 goals in that whole season. pretty good as a striker for Manchester United. Renee asked him, what's your target for 2007-2008 season? Ronnie said, well, I think I scored 28. I don't know if it was actually 28, maybe it was 22, whatever. He said, I think I can score 30 goals this season. And Renee said, okay, Ronnie, I know your ambitions are to be the best player in the world. I think you can get 40 goals this season. Cool. Ronnie accepts that. Then what Renee does on a piece of paper, he puts the numbers down on the page from 0 to 10. What Renee does then is start rating or asking Cristiano, what are your strengths and your weaknesses? Let's go through every attribute you have as a footballer and rate them from 1 to 10. 10 is best in the world, 5 is professional level, 0 is just everybody starts at 0. So Renee asked this question about dribbling. Ronaldo says, I think my dribbling's at 8. I can't remember what Renee specifically said. Maybe it was 8, 8.5 or 9, but it was very high. We're talking like 8. Renee's not putting any input in this. This is all self-evaluation, something that you two listening right now can do at home. And basically they start plotting out all these strengths, all these weaknesses. So Renee in those first few weeks of the season started plotting out, okay, what is it going to take? What do we have to do in your training to make sure you score 40 goals? So what they do, the next step, is very, very interesting. And this is so relevant to every player out there in any position. This is such a golden piece of advice. The reason why Ronaldo didn't score 28 goals that season, he actually scored 42 goals that season and won the Champions League and the Premier League with Manchester United is this reason. This is what he did. They go on the training ground to a goal, and Renee would explain to Ronaldo, here are your zones. If we talk about the goal box, the middle is zone 1, coming towards the edges, that's zone 2, and the real edges are zone 3. What Renee said is, Ronnie, most goals are scored in zone 1. If you want to score more goals as a player, be in zone 1. Take shots in zone 1. That's when your angle to shoot is the biggest. And that's such a great piece of advice, because if you start applying that and really thinking about that, and you play as a striker, you know that most goals are scored in zone 1. When a corner comes in, when there's a counter attack and you're sprinting up the field, you want to be in zone 1. And if you look at that season of what Ronaldo did, you'll see that most goals were scored in this zone 1, zone 2 region. But it seems like if they didn't have that conversation, Ronaldo probably wouldn't have scored 42 goals that season. This is something about being smart in football, setting goals in a way where you first look at yourself and you evaluate yourself, and you get a piece of paper out and you ask yourself, what do I need to improve? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? If you want to be at that pro level, you got to get all those attributes up to a 5 level. All right. So you're at least at the professional standard for all, and then have those 10 out of 10s, 9s out of 10s, 8 out of 10s, which really differentiate you from every other player there is. So back to your point, Ivica. Okay, you want to play at the professional level. You're asking yourself all the right questions. You have a problem controlling the ball when it's coming far. You don't know how to control a header well. These are 2 things you can plot on that 0 to 10 chart. Okay, what do I need to do in training and individual training to work on that? And that's it. So Ivica, what I'm trying to say with all this, every single player in the world has strengths and weaknesses. All of this takes patience. If you have a plan every week to improve each attribute, and you keep working on that, not just 1 week, but after 10 weeks, you improve your dribbling. After 10 weeks, you improve your defending. After 10 weeks, you improve your shooting accuracy. 10 weeks, 10 weeks, 10 weeks, 10 weeks. And you keep working for those 500 weeks. Imagine how good you can get. And that always goes back to my point about 10,000 hours, about being patient and about working hard. All right. So that's my answer there. That's how Renee Mullenstein transferred Ronaldo. That's one of the ways you get to that professional level. And that's one of the ways you create a plan to get to the professional level as well. Because I'm telling you that most people, when they go in their pursuit to greatness, they lose focus. They think once they've made a little bit of progress that it's easy. It's not easy. If any day is easy for you, you look back on that day, you go to bed and you put your head in that pillow and you think, oh, today was easy. There's something wrong. You're not pushing yourself hard enough. You're not working hard enough. Sure, you can have easy days. You need holidays. You need recovery days. You need days where you might not even think about football. That's important too. But for the most part, when you put the head on the pillow, damn, bro, you want to think to yourself, today, I've made sacrifice. Today, while my friends were out drinking at the pub, while my friends were going to that party tonight, while my friends were playing Fortnite, I was there hustling in the cold grind of my dream, which no one else believes in, maybe, except me. And that's not easy. It's not easy getting out there physically, putting yourself under that pressure. It's not easy giving up other things sometimes in order to pursue your dream, which there are no guarantees, absolutely no guarantees that you'll achieve, but just know that you trust the process and you love the process. And you do that every day, then you will go so far. Whatever it is you do in life, seriously, like you'll go so far. And that's what I'm saying, Vika. If you want to chase your dreams, you want to go big, you want to make it somewhere, you have to make those sacrifices. Sean says, I want to play at the highest level I can go. Many people, especially some close friends, doubt me, but I don't listen to them. All I want to do is prove them wrong. My biggest struggle is scheduling my time for individual training since school gets in the way a lot. What is your opinion or advice on how I can do that? Number one, on proving them wrong. Sean, I love that. Number one thing about that is use that as fuel, use that as motivation, use those doubters, use that hate that you might receive as fuel to the fire that you got inside of you. Second part of your question, Sean says, my biggest struggle is scheduling my time for individual training since school gets in the way. I want every single person listening to this to get rid of their freaking excuses. Every single person listening to this right now, I want to get rid of your damn, stupid, dumb, lazy excuses. If your goal is to play at a professional level, you need to cut out every freaking excuse that you've ever said in your whole damn life about everything. If you have big dreams in your life, cut out every freaking excuse. There are no excuses. If you don't work harder than every single person that you know, you will not make it. You will not get there. And if you do make it, because of luck, you will not sustain it. You will fall off. I feel in this generation right now, too many people that don't want to put in the freaking work, don't want to hustle, man. Because everybody's used to getting something so quick. When it comes to chasing your dream, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes work. And with that work, it means absolutely no freaking excuses. Cut out every excuse. You have the time. Let me tell you this, if you go to school from 8 to 3 p.m. every day, and if you're actually focused and paying attention in that time, and you're not messing around with your friends and you're actually focusing on your work, you will get A's. Really, in school, to get good grades, you probably need 40 hours a week if you use it efficiently. Okay? I know exam periods and stuff are higher and everything, but on average, 40 hours a week throughout the year. You know how many hours a week you have in a whole week? 168 hours in a week. 24 times 7 is 168 hours in a week. So after sleeping and doing the necessities, sitting on the toilet and whatever, that's 100 hours you got left in the week. Minus 40 hours to get A's in school, you got 60 hours a week to play around. Who here still has freaking excuses when you have 60 hours a week to play around and you can't even train 20 minutes in that day? That you're making excuses. Flush your excuses down the toilet. If you're 15 years old, 16 years old, 23 years old, whatever, how old you are, and you're complaining that you don't have enough time because you have school, you're not going to make it, period, in anything. Because in this game, if you want to be one of the 0.1%, you can't have any excuses. You can't say you don't have time. You can't say, oh, but I had this, and oh no, but Cindy's party was on Friday night, but I have dreams of becoming at the top level. So yeah, I went to Cindy's party the other night, and because of that, I didn't hit my goal this week in training, and yeah, I don't have enough time. Give up now. If you're making those excuses, give up. I just want to be that stark reminder that in order to achieve your dreams, you need to do so much more than the competition, so much more than the people around you. You need to be that outlier. You need to be that 0.1%. So there you go. To summarize, guys, Sean's first question is about doubters. Okay, use that doubters and those people that don't believe in you as fuel, because every winning athlete, every great person that's achieved success in their life has doubt. Barack Obama was a black man. People think he couldn't be the president until he did. Jamie Vardy, perfect example you can always use. The amount of people that doubted Jamie Vardy. The amount of people that doubt Cristiano Ronaldo because he's 34, 35 years old and think that, he's too old to play now. Still the best player, if not the best player, one of the best players in the world, period. Last question, then we got to go. I'm training football for 6 years. When I started, I was so bad footballer. Everyone at the club was shouting at me like, leave the club. What are you doing? Do you know how to even play football? He says, I didn't give up. I put hard work and now I'm better than all of them that were shouting at me. Yeah, listen, I guess this podcast is so much about hard work and about proving doubters wrong. When you're first starting out on your journey and you want to become the best, don't look towards England or Europe or you need to play professionally and all this kind of stuff. Listen, focus on the club, focus on your team that you're in right now. And if you don't have a team, focus on getting in a team. But for most people that are in a team, look at your team and look at the best player and think to yourself, what is that best player doing that I'm not? That's your target. Become better than that player. The way to be confident in a soccer or sport situation is train like the way you want to play. If you want to play the best in your team, train that way with intensity. If you want to be loud on the field, scream for the ball. People might think you're crazy. You're in that field, you're screaming to yourself, but who cares? You want to be the best player. So what do? You do what people don't. Train the way you want to play, and that's what will give you confidence. It might not happen after the first training session. It might not happen after the second. But if you stay consistent with it, you train the way you play, and in that game, you're not afraid to make mistakes. Because listen, everybody makes mistakes, Michael. If you're not afraid to mistakes, you will succeed. Guys, that's all the time that I have for. Thank you for being patient. Thanks for waiting with me. Sean, Michael, Yike, and Ivica that have raised these questions today. Thank you, guys. If you got any more questions, ask at Train Effective. If you want to ask those questions directly to me, at Nick Humph is my Instagram name. Yeah, TikTok. You want to see new TikToks? Go at Nick Humph too, because I'm doing TikToks there too. Listen, man, 2020 vision. I'm just pumped and I'm just ready to hustle. So train effective, people. Stay effective. All right, guys. See you guys. Peace.